All right, we are live. Hello and welcome to all of you who are live with us right now. I see some 8 people have already joined us, and we are right on time again with a new live webinar in this AMA for you. So thank you so much for joining us today. I think we'll quickly introduce ourselves, and in the meantime, a lot of more people will be joining us, and we are also going one of our Designhill Instagram account, which is Designhill DH. So a lot of other people would be live there also. So I think we can start this AMA. So thank you so much again, guys, for joining us for this webinar, and thank you so much, Miriam, for coming on board and taking out your time for this AMA with us.
Hi, yeah, thanks so much. So good to be here. Hi, everyone.
Yeah, so quickly introducing myself, I am Rashmi from Designhill, and for those people who are new to this platform and in this AMA, Designhill is one of the largest online graphic design platform which connects clients and graphic designers. So if you have not checked the website yet, go to designhill.com and check out the services that we offer, and you'll get to know a lot of new stuff there. So thank you so much for joining us again. We'll start with this live AMA with Miriam, who is a senior product designer and who is having 7+ years of industry experience. So you can shoot your questions to her on the questions tab, which is there, which you can see on the screen. And we have around 45 minutes to do this AMA session, and we'll try to answer the maximum possible questions that we can. So we'll go ahead and start this AMA. So again, please put your questions in the questions tab, and we'll take it up from here. All right. So thank you so much again, Miriam, for joining us today. And we have got around 200+ questions for this AMA session, out of which we have filtered out the maximum relevant question, which is related to UX, which we are talking about today. So the first question that I would like to ask from you, which we have received from our registration form, is that what made you get into UX design, and when did you recognize that UX was a path to be explored as a designer?
Oh, so basically I transitioned with the technology. So a few years ago I was working, as you said, I've been doing this for 7 years. So a few years ago I was working at an e-commerce company, and they only had a desktop website. I mean, imagine that. And I saw that we needed to, there was this new emergence called, the mobile phone, and we needed to adapt the website, and also we had to go responsive. And what we did, we'd never done that before. So what I did was I got together a team of designers and developers, and we sat down and we learned this new technology called responsive. At the same time, we also needed to deliver better deliverables. So we needed to deliver interactions and user flow and different mock-ups and different layouts. And what we discovered was that we were actually doing this new thing called UX design. So I called it the UX team, and we became UX designers. And it was before anyone was a UX designer, and it's just amazing how it's come to be this new principle in design.
That's awesome to know. So a lot of these people who have registered for this AMA today, I think a lot of them are probably starting their journey into UI UX, and a lot of them are beginners into field and are beginners into graphic designing industry as a whole. So I have received a lot of question, which is, what is the difference between graphic and UX design first, and what exactly UX designer do?
So I would say a graphic designer, to really define a graphic designer nowadays, is a print designer, and a UX designer is for digital products, so like websites and apps.
What they do? What exactly UX designer are into, and what do they have to do on a regular basis?
So a UX designer has to be able to deliver to a client or to a developer's team the user flow, the informational architecture, the interactions, and the high fidelity prototypes for either the application, iOS application or Android application, or a website that is responsive across desktop, mobile, tablet.
Getting our questions from people over here in the questions tab. So I hope guys you have got the answer of the question which you guys are asking, which is relationship between normal designer, UI designer and UX designer. So can you, Miriam, can you elaborate more about UI and UX difference for them?
Yeah, sure. Yeah. So the way, okay, so I'll explain how most people define it, and I'm going to give you my point of view as well. So a UI designer is traditionally for the typography, for the fonts, the colors, and the shapes that you would choose to express either the brand, of the company through the app or the website. And the UX designer is someone that sits down and does the wireframes and does the user flow and the information architecture, and they would work together to produce, design systems and all the deliverables for the developers team. Now, I personally believe that a UX designer should also be a UI designer, because I believe that UI is actually part and parcel of the user experience, that is just as important. There's something called the aesthetic usability effect, which is a law in UX, which states that when an app looks good, people feel like it performs better. So actually what's come to be is that through studies, we've seen that the UI is actually part and parcel of the user experience, and it's best if the UX designer can do both and design both together. It will be a more seamless experience.
Right. So I hope guys, all of you who are asking us the difference between UI, UX and normal designer, you have got the answer, and Miriam has explained it really nicely. All right. So moving ahead with the next question that we have received is that now people want to know that if they want to start their UX design journey, how should they do it, and what are the most important things that they should be focusing on while going ahead in this journey? So most important things, how should they start the journey first, and most important things that they should be focusing upon?
So if you're a graphic designer, which we're talking about going from graphic design to UX design, then you already have a strong base. You have a creative process, you know how to discoverability, you know how to manage clients and deliver to them. So that's like the layer one that also goes into UX design. What I do suggest to people is to take an online course, either on Design Lab or General Assembly, and this will give you the tools that you need to build the portfolio for your UX portfolio. I mean, you can do it yourself, but it's very difficult. I mean, I will give you the resources. There are UX conceptual case studies out there. And if you do it by yourself, I recommend also getting a mentor, someone that knows the industry to help you along the way. But these courses are very cheap and much cheaper than going to university or college. And they give you exactly what you need to get a job in UX. And I've seen graphic designers take courses like Design Lab, come out with a portfolio and get jobs at great companies like House, like Lightrix, like amazing companies, because everyone needs a UX designer. So if you've got a good portfolio, and especially if you're a graphic designer with those design principles, and you can apply you'll easily learn how to apply the 6 principles of design to UX. I think that's really the best route for you.
You're saying that to start a UX journey, one has to take it is important to take a UX course so that one can begin with the journey. And a few of the people who have joined us live are asking us, can you rename the courses or the site where they can find these courses?
Yes. Should I write it in the chat? Should I write it in?
Yeah, you can write it in the chat section. Okay. Design Lab and General Assembly are the two major sources for them to learn UX. And generally, how much is the average duration of these courses there?
So it can range if you want to. There's intensive and there's like part-time. So it could be like maybe 4 to 5 months, I think is the average. And yeah, I highly recommend it. It's, you know, for what you're going to save by not going to college or university, and you'll make back that money, you know, in tenfold in UX design, because it's such a great industry to be in.
Okay, cool. So now that people, let's say people have already taken up a course, and as you said that it is very important for them to make a portfolio where they can show their work, right? So how do you think that now the question that we have also received is that how to build a portfolio to land a freelance work, somebody who is not working as a full-time employee to any company and want a freelancing work to do as a UX designer. So what are your suggestion and your recommendation to build a portfolio, where to build a portfolio, how to build it, and how to sort of, how they can get clients from there?
So yeah, you still do the same UX portfolio, and you still need to show that you can apply the UX process to an abstract client idea and bring it down into the information architecture, into the user flows, into the high fidelity mockups, into the design systems, that you can deliver everything that they need to take to their developers to get the app developed. That's your job as a UX designer. So it's important that you show that you understand and you know that process, and you can apply it to any kind of app or any kind of website that a client might come to you with. So the best, I find LinkedIn is amazing for finding clients. I get a lot of requests from that. I mean, I'm working full time right now, but I do find a lot of requests come in. Also, Instagram is great to be on Instagram and post your work and post your progress, post your behind the scenes shots. It's an indirect way of getting clients, and it's another, when your potential client will search for you on Google, things like Instagram and LinkedIn will come up, and it will show that you're an engaged member of the UX design community, so you have more weight and you have more expertise. So that's important. And also networking. Just network with other designers, network with your friends, network with, you know, your family, and that's, just tell people I'm doing UX. When, you know, and then someone will hear the word UX in a dinner party, or they're in a meeting, and be like, oh yeah, you know, John just got into UX. Let's ask him. So yeah.
So I think networking is the key. First of all, it helps you in the word of mouth promotion with respect to what are you doing, and then a lot of other people get to know about you and your friends and your friends of friends and all of that, right? And then one thing that Miriam had just mentioned, guys, LinkedIn is one of the sources for you to sort of get clients for your UX design. So yeah, please remember that. Okay. So moving forward with the next question that we have. So a lot of, since the topic of this AMA is how to transition from a graphic design to a UX design. Now people, what are the challenges they might face while changing their career from this design industry to UI UX industry? What are the major challenges that they can face that you want them to sort of, you know, help them out with?
So I would say learning the UX process and learning how to apply that to your work.
Yeah.
Oh, is that okay? And I would say you already kind of know the process a little bit, because you've done discovery before, you've done deliverables before, you've have a creative process, so you are familiar with that creative deliverable flow with clients and developers. So you already have the baseline of it, and you already know the 6 design principles, which is great. Another challenge you will face is that you have to become comfortable in data, and you have to be able to bring data to the front of your decisions. So instead of, say, making a decision based upon just what the client likes and just what you like, you also have to take users into account, and that's a third wheel that will come into your decisions as well. And also show that this is not my decision. This is from all the research we've done online and from users, and we've gathered it all together, and this is why we're making these decisions. And also, to be honest, when you do that and you come with data, you find that the sign-off process goes a lot faster.
Okay, all right. Then a lot of somebody is asking in the chat section itself that does UX include coding language also?
So you need to. I come from a programmer's background. I used to code and design websites back in the day when it was just static, and that gave me the foundation to understand the limitations of UX design and know that, okay, I can't design outside of these borders. What I do recommend is you need to understand it. You don't need to code on a day-to-day level. So I recommend for newcomers to take a free course on Free Code Camp. You could take a course there, or you could take a code on Team Treehouse, which is very cheap, like $25 a month, and they explain everything from A to Z completely. If you've never done code before, it's brilliant for you. And what that will do is it's going to give you the framework and know how to design it. It's like when you do a logo. You know you have to do it in Illustrator. You know you have to export it as an EPS. You know you have dimensions to follow. Same with code. You need to understand the dimensions and what's behind the design so that you can work with developers better.
So in short, they need to sort of know a bit about the coding as well, right?
Yeah. You need to just, you know what, you don't even need to code a website or an app. You just need to watch someone do it, and you just need to watch a course on it so you can get that understanding.
Right. Cool. Now, since people are sort of want to transition from a graphic design role to a UX role, people want to understand how the future of UX looks like.
So I think that the future of UX right now is actually quite stable. And I know a lot of people think that voice is going to overtake it and we're not going to need design anymore. But there's 3 ways that people have always consumed content throughout all of history. And that's reading and looking and listening. So even if we do get voice comes about, there'll still be that need to view content and to have that venue as well. For example, if you want to buy a dress, you're not just going to say to Alexa, buy me a red dress. You need to see it. There's someone that's going to need to design that interface. And what we're seeing actually, as Alexa has opened up into the market, a lot of the feedback coming back that people, they don't like it so much, they're not so familiar with it. There's not enough feedback. They don't feel, that, did I say something? Did she hear me? What's going on? Also, is she listening to my conversations? There's a lot of worry about cybersecurity as well. So I know that a lot of people came out and was like, oh, chatbots and voice is going to take over and your design is finished now. We'll always consume content through listening, watching, and what was it? Listening, watching, and reading. Yeah.
Listening, watching, and reading, the 3 main important components to make sure that you want to understand how the future of the UX look like. So you have to focus on these 3 components, right?
It's basically, that's how humanity has consumed content and information through all of time, through from the beginning of time till now. If it was, say, newspapers or the radio or television, always, if you look throughout history, these mediums have always existed. And I don't believe those mediums will go away in the future. There'll always be a watching medium. There'll always be a listening medium. Now we have podcasts and user interface and voice interactions. So, and also reading blogs online as well. So there'll always, we don't know necessarily what it's going to be, but there'll always be that. We'll always interact with content in those 3 ways.
So we have just got a new question in the chat section, and somebody is asking that what is the best tool for designing the wireframe, and how do you use it, I guess?
For wireframing, so I use a pencil and paper. I start on pencil and paper for wireframing. I am an evangelist for paper wireframes. I really feel like they are the best type of prototyping because they give you, when you go into Sketch or XD, you see some screens, right? But really an application or website is a system. It's a system of layers. So when you start paper prototyping, you can really have a feel of those layers and really see, bring it to yourself, because even with mobile's in your hands, it's not far away on the screen. For desktop, it was fine and good that we could design over there. But when we make paper prototypes, we really feel the interaction. And I've noticed that the UX design that I make are far better when I start on paper first than if I start in Sketch. I don't even think in Sketch, I just execute. So I'd also recommend, so you could definitely start on paper, and then also you can just use Sketch or XD to prototype, to wireframe prototype. There's a lot of wireframing kits out there you can just download, and you can just mess around and get a concept out there. You don't have to sit down and make this better and make that better and do that, you know.
So guys, I think I hope you guys got the answer. If you have any other question, ask a follow-up question on that. Yeah, and we'll try to answer that as well. Okay, so moving forward to the next question that I have, people want to understand that what is the hardest part of this transition from a graphic design industry to a UX design? So what do you think now let's say I am a designer and I want to transition to a UX designer. What could be the hardest thing for me that I should sort of avoid?
I think there's a lot of the problem with the UX industry right now is that it's not defined, and there's a lot of information out there which isn't necessarily wrong, but it's not structured or ordered. So say you'll go on Instagram and you'll look up UX design, or you'll look at the UX different these design tips that go around. There's so much of it, we don't necessarily know which order it goes in. Oh, do I do affinity maps first, or do I do prototypes first, or do I do user interviews first? What's the process? How do I even start? That is the question. How do I start? But you've got people like UX Bites on Instagram. I highly recommend following him. He is working. We were discussing actually yesterday, and he's working on a process to show how we start from A to Z and bringing all that content together. I've also started that discussion in my stories recently, so you can also follow me. And that is probably the hardest part, is understanding the process. And I do recommend, once again, to do a course that someone will take you through the process and you can see how it works. And going on other UX designers' portfolios and seeing their case studies and seeing how they work the process as well.
Exactly. And how much time do you think that overall, how much time this transition can take for somebody?
If you're a graphic designer and you say, oh, you know Adobe, and you can just download XD, right? And you've got the drawing skills and you know the creative process, probably around 6 months.
So 6 months, you are saying, is the sort of minimum time that one needs to sort of, transition to UX design, right?
Yeah, I'm saying, like, if they don't have graphic design background and starting from scratch, it's going to take them a lot longer because they need to learn all the principles first.
Okay. Then people want to know, the question that we're receiving over here is that what are the major software that are there in UX which they need to learn?
So there's a bit of fragmentation in the industry right now in terms of software. I feel like the big companies are competing with each other to win that, with the UX software. Like Adobe a few years ago really had it in terms of print and web design, but they kind of lacked in terms of, they weren't able to quickly put in prototyping tools into their framework. So nowadays what you have, I would say you have Adobe XD, Sketch, and Figma. And the great thing actually about Figma is that it's a web application. So I actually get a lot of questions on, oh, my computer is not strong enough to hold a Sketch program or a Adobe program, right? Or I don't even have a Mac, so I can't even get Sketch, which Sketch is a Mac program. So I tell them, you know what, Figma is a web application that you can access from anywhere. So it's also great for collaboration, and it's just a great tool if you're just starting and you don't have a good computer yet. Just go for it. I mean, I started on a very basic HP computer, and it's no shame in that. And hopefully in half a year, 2 years time, when you have clients who buy the MacBook, that you see everyone else using. But definitely Figma's a great starting place.
Suggesting that Figma is a great start wherein they can start learning the UX, right?
Yeah, and it's also good. You don't have to download it. You can just go online. You don't have to invest that much in it. And there's a lot of great plugins, and there's also a great Figma community on Twitter. Actually, you should follow Figma on Twitter, because you'll see a lot of tips coming in from that way. Not so much of Instagram. I mean, I'm trying to find people to give more tips on Figma on Instagram. Haven't found yet, but I found on Twitter there's a really active community there.
So can you name any community there, or just the Figma group? Like, what is the name?
If you follow Figma, actual Figma, the company, and follow them, and then you'll see who tags them, and also follow those hashtags, like hashtag Figma, hashtag Figma design, and then you'll see all the people. I mean, I've got one guy. I'll have to send it later or something, or you can DM me. And I found one guy on Twitter that does it. Yeah.
So we can do one thing. We can put it on our Instagram account, on our stories probably, with resources, and people can check from there.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I'll look quickly here. Oh, here. Dave Williams. Here, let me get you his. He does tutorials basically on Twitter for Figma. He's a great person to follow. Hold on. I'll put it in the chat. There you go. Hello?
Yeah, I'm listening.
Yeah, great. I just lost you. Fine, I'll put him on the chat. So great.
So yeah, so guys, Miriam has already shared the Twitter link of David. So you can go and check it out and see the resources that he's posting there. Okay, so moving on to the next question that I have. People want to know that now they want to become a UX designer. Probably if they are already a UX designer or want to become one. What do you think is the ideal thought process for them to become a successful UX designer? How the thought process should go towards the work and towards the whole project or whatever client project they're taking up?
Okay, so let me open my process. So we have everything here. Okay, so we're going to go through the process. So everyone listen. First, we have discovery, right? So often as designers, we want to jump straight into Sketch or XD, but no, discovery is going to uncover all the insight and information we need to have a successful project. So here we ask questions like, what is the key goal of the project? How will we measure success in achieving said goal? What is your gut instinct when I say, what is your greatest wish for this project? Now, I have a set of questions that I've included on the template in the links, right? Rashmi, we've got the links over there for the actions. So that's my discovery template that you can use for clients, right? Okay, now you go into research. So I conduct two main pillars of research, user research and data analysis, right, which goes into three areas. So you've got qualitative, quantitative, and empirical data gathering. Okay, let's go through this. Quantitative data is numeric data. These are things like conversion rates, bounce rates, average session duration. What you'll do is, when you start working with a client or a company, you'll ask them for access to their Google Analytics, and you'll look at their different stats there, right? And you'll collect that. Then there's qualitative data, which is non-numerical data. So it's the how and why of your users' behavior. So it's things like website feedback, customer reviews, social media comments. What you'll do is you'll go into their social media, see how their customers interact with them. Also, there's a tool called Hotjar, which is a great heat mapping tool. You'll pull it on, as soon as you get access to the website, you'll put it on their website and you'll track hotspots, and you'll also put up a website feedback box to start collecting that in as well. And that's part of empirical data, which is gathered through intentional experimentation. You're coming in and you're doing these experiments. You're doing A/B testing, heat maps, and usability testing. Okay, now once you have everything all together, right, and the main thing you want to do is start looking for patterns. You start to ideate. You get everyone in a room and you start whiteboarding. And if it's a client, then you can do whiteboarding on InVision, has a whiteboarding tool, and you'll bring everyone in on video and you start collaborating with them. And this helps, with It's a key to innovation, and bringing everyone together at the beginning breaks down barriers and decreases conflict down the product cycle roadmap. Okay, what you do here is you talk user stories, how might restatement, lightning talks, and sketching. This is the sprint. There's a book called Sprint by Google. I recommend reading that for this stage of the UX process. And that's what I mean also by there's so much information out there. You'll see UX books. People recommend Sprint along with a Don Norman book, which is the psychology of it. So Sprint is for ideation part, okay? So then we go into prototyping design. Yay, the fun bit. We can now comfortably go into wireframing design. So I prefer, as I said, to paper prototype. That's my favorite way of doing it. You can also do it on your favorite design program as well. And what you'll do is at key points of the user journey, you'll gain sign off. So when you say complete, say checkout, we'll go to the client and be like, hey, do you like this checkout? And he'll be like, yes or no. We know how the iteration process goes. And then
you also suggested a book which is for the UX process.
Yeah, it's not for, it's part, you use Sprint. It's a book called Sprint, and it's for the ideation part of the UX process.
Can you also probably write down in the chat section so that people can refer it?
Yeah, sure. Sprint by Google. Oh, look, Justin got a hot jar. Good one. Okay, then we have... Oh, Justin, you're on form, Justin.
Yeah, Justin has already shared the link with everybody.
Okay, great. You're a psychic today. Okay, brilliant. Then...
for sharing this.
This is so fun. No, don't mess around, do you? Oh my god, so fun. Okay, and then we go into deliver and evaluate. So after receiving all the final sign-offs, we now, I'm sorry, we've missed out UI design, and we love that bit. So what we do, we start putting the colors on, and choosing the fonts, and choosing the shapes. And as you do this, create the design system at the same time. So as you put these components and make these decisions, take out these components and put them in the design system as a deliverable for the developers. To do it at the same time will save you time later on. So, and then you deliver and evaluate. So after receiving all the sign-offs, you now hand off to the developers, and I recommend Zeppelin. So I'll put that in the thing. Zeppelin is a great tool because they'll be able to grab things like hex colors and things like CSS, and it's really going to help them. It's a great tool, and they can also download assets, and all you have to do is just sync it with like Sketch or Adobe. So it's not even like a pain for you, just syncing. It's brilliant. Highly recommend it. Saves me a lot of time. I used to have to slice things. Okay, you're lucky. Okay. And yeah, so basically also just a caveat that design UX is never done. I personally believe in a dual track system. So continuously testing while simultaneously innovating, with both intersecting to influence better UX. So yeah, that's it. That's me.
So we have got some more questions in the questions tab. So if you can go there in that section and click on Start Live Answer, I think people would be able to see which question you're referring to. So the first question that so somebody is asking how to explain the UX importance to the customers or to the clients.
That's a good one. Do I press play on it?
So just click on Start Live Answer, and yeah.
Okay, great. So this is much easier nowadays with the use of analytics and showing that you can actually show through an A/B test how you've improved ROI through the improving of design. And there's a lot of different data online that you can research. UX design stats, and you can bring that to the customer or client. I really highly recommend bringing data to the forefront of the client, not necessarily saying, oh, UX is amazing, you should do it, no. Just go online, grab the data. I mean, maybe I'll try and find a good resource for that for everyone. and just you can show it, tell the story through numbers. That's the best way.
Sure, sure. Okay, somebody's asking us if you can share the name of some good books for UI UX design.
Yeah, sure.
Question.
Oh wait, I'm done answering. Okay, there's a lot of great books on UI UX design. I would say Don Norman's book, which is The Design of Everyday Things. That's a fundamental book. That's about the psychology behind UX and behind your design decisions. That's a great, sort of like on a summer's day outside reading a book. And then you've got more practical books like Design Systems by Smashing Magazine. And I got one on forms. I forgot the name of it. But these two books are great practical examples of UI and UX. We've also got, what else do I read? Oh, Storytelling is Design. That's a great book that really shows how to apply storytelling to user experiences. And it also talks about Don Norman's principles, but in a more practical manner. There's also Sprint, which I already spoke about. And that's all that comes to mind right now. I mean, I can look on my...
I think that's fine. Storytelling
okay.
and the UX design system, I think the two books that you have referred are the main important things to sort of go there and check that out for getting into UX and learning more about it, right?
Oh, also one more book, UX Bites. He just came out with a book and it's brilliant. You've got to get this book. This is actually, I really recommend this book. I wrote everything. What he's done is really explain abstract UX concepts in great visual, educational UX Bites. So it's great. Definitely UX Bites. You've got to get that one. I'll write it in the chat.
UX Byte people. So one more book that you have in your list now is UX Byte. So refer to all of these three books to sort of get more knowledge and more resource to read more of UX designing. All right. So somebody is asking about the. Can you just refer to the first question in the questions tab?
Yeah, sure.
So when you start a contest with client or when you work with any of the given client and they have given you a minimal description, small description for a website or app. So he wants to understand that how to start with minimum information within a short span of time.
Is it possible to circle back with the client and ask him some questions? Because it's going to be very hard to understand the key problem of the solution you're trying to provide without a bit of contact between you two. I mean, a small description of an app, 4 to 5 days, no, it's not long enough. I think we would have to really educate the client here in terms of the UX process.
Exactly. So the point is that it is very important to ask more questions to the client so that you can actually solve the actual problem that the clients wants to solve. So there's no harm in asking more question, and rather than just starting with a minimum information which you have, rather than that, it is always suggested and it is always better to start to ask more questions so that you can work according to the clients. Yeah, am I right, Miriam?
Good. Yeah, that's brilliant, Rashmi. We'll make a UX designer out of you.
Let's see. Okay, moving forward. So, so the next question that I have in my list is that what is the process of setting questions for user interview?
So I have a template which I've shared in the actions, the links for you guys for the user interview. And what you do is feel free to take that template and also just customize it and take the answers you need for that specific project or that specific user base.
And please.
Oh, sorry. So I've actually provided a template for you guys because I found during my process it took me time to really try and test this out. So I've provided you guys with a template, and feel free to take the answers as you want for the project or for the user base.
So where can these people find the template?
So I put in the actions and the links.
Okay, so you have already done that.
Yeah.
Cool, cool. All right. So moving forward to the next, let me check what people are asking. Okay, so somebody is asking that how can I leverage my experience in print or graphic design to UX, and which software are there where they should invest in? So yeah, that's a question.
Yeah, so I would say that as a graphic designer, you're already familiar with the creative process. You're familiar with doing discovery, you're familiar with client management and client feedback, and you're familiar with the 6 principles of design, which still apply in UI UX. So that's a great way to leverage it. You'll find as you learn, take these courses online or go through the UX process, that you'll see a lot of things will just click because you are a creative person. So you have that foundation. So you'll find that you'll have an easier time than someone who's coming fresh to user experience design.
Okay. I think we have got a follow-up question on the last question which we answered, which was about the minimum time period that clients are giving for designing a UX project. So this person again is asking that when they go to any freelancing site, they give only 4 to 5 maximum days for them, and this is the time period that the designers get. So how can they sort of, and other designers are doing it, so how can they make sort of most out of the minimum information that they have?
So, I mean, it's definitely a challenge and it will come easier with experience. I mean, can I ask a question back? Are they asking for the whole thing in one go, or are they asking for the wireframes in 4 to 5 days, or are they asking for the proper website?
So they're just asking for the projects, because what happens in these freelancing sites is that they can the client can come and put up a UX project there, and then freelancers get around 4 to 5 days to sort of work on it and bring something back. So I think that I'm assuming that they're asking somewhere on those lines, that if I have a minimum information, how should I get start with the project?
So I see JP's answered with 5 or 6 screens. Okay, so that's doable if you're experienced designer with 4 to 5 days. Minimal, you're gonna have to have a lot of initiative here and do a lot of research on your own and base it upon, say for example, the app is say a transport app. So you'll have to look at things like Waze or Move It or Google Maps and derive inspiration from there. It's not, look, if someone gives you 4 to 5 days on a project, you're not going to win awards from it. It's basic, and and you have to. And the more you build yourself up, and the more you build yourself your portfolio, you'll find that you'll get the bigger, better projects. I mean, these are just good to fill up your portfolio with and to show that you can do design. But I would just take what you have already, like your templates or your old designs, and kind of recycle, because 4 to 5 days is very short.
So moving forward, I hope you have got your answer. So moving forward to the questions that we have received from our Instagram page, people have commented their questions, and let me put up these questions here. So somebody would want to know that how can they add more effectiveness in their website or a logo?
Can you repeat the question? Sorry.
What are your tips? What tips or suggestions that you would like to give to people to add more effectiveness in the website?
Effectiveness, do you mean engagement?
Probably.
Not really. I would say use of color is great. Use of animation is great. Use of fonts. There's some great, I would recommend going on to like Dribble or going on to Behance and looking at what the trends are and seeing what you can apply to your own design and seeing what the UI trends are at the moment, and it could really make it more engaging. Yeah. Also see what you like. I mean, at the end of the day, we're designing for humans. Like, what apps do you like? What websites do you like? What makes you smile? What delights you? And see if you can bring those into your own.
Then so now there's a person who wants to know more about you, and he's asking that what was the biggest hurdle that you faced while you were into UX, and what were the problem and the hurdles that you faced, and how did you overcome it in UX?
So initially, I found it very hard to get buy-in from stakeholders and to get the data that I needed from the clients or the company that I was in. It was a struggle. They were like, why do you need this data? Why do you need to know these things? So that's also why I started my Instagram account, was to educate people on the UX process, on why we need this data, why we need to understand the whole business, why UX design is not just a small part. It encompasses everything, and it encompasses, for you to output a good user experience for a company, you need to understand the whole company. I remember once I was doing an app for a health app, and I really felt like I was becoming a scientist because I had to learn about this medication, what it did and how it broke down, because I needed to communicate that through the app, because I needed to help sell this project, and I wanted to make diagrams for it, and I wanted to make an engaging experience for it. So I had to understand how these molecules work and how it works in the body and all of that stuff. So it's getting that information from the right people is difficult, but with the right questions, and I've given you my discovery template, which I've refined over my years of experience. I find when you start with that, it's a fun thing for clients. They love answering the questions. They're like, oh, you're asking me this question. Oh, you asked what I think. And it's a fun moment for them. And also you get the insights that you need to design what you need to design.
Good to know. Okay. So,
Rashmi, sorry. They're asking for the links. How do they get to the links I put in the action?
Sorry?
They're asking for the links. How do they get to the links that I put in the actions?
Can you please share it again, if possible?
I can share it again, yeah. But where, I shared like a bunch of, oh, here we go. I always got it.
Justin is saying that he'll put it here for them.
Just confirm.
Oh, he has already done that. He has already done that.
Each time, Rashmi, just always have to come.
He's the savior here.
That's so funny.
Okay. So shall we move ahead with the next question?
Yeah.
Okay. Now somebody wants to know that what is actually prototyping, and if you can give some examples to them.
So prototyping is the process where you will be, so say after the wireframes and the user flows and information architecture, you're going to start creating either in a software program or on paper how the app is actually going to move and function and interact. And this is examples. You can find loads on, say, Instagram or on Dribbble. You can type in the word prototype and you can see how it animates. Or you can do it in InVision with clickable prototypes. It's just to show all stakeholders, oh, this is how it's going to work. Do you approve it? And also for the developer, this is how I want the interaction to look like.
Somebody over here, if somebody wants to know about prototyping, I hope you got your answer. So I think we are left with only 10 minutes, and I'll quickly wrap this up with 2 more questions that we have. So those people who are listening to us on this live AMA session, please put your questions in the questions tab if you have any, and because we just have 10 more minutes to go. Yeah. Cool.
Yeah.
So now I would like to know, Miriam, from you that somebody who wants to be a UX designer, and so how do you think that how for somebody who is a fresher and who is new to the industry as a whole, so for him, how the roadmap of the journey looks like? It's like first step, second step, and third step, and then you are a UX designer. So how the whole roadmap and the journey looks like for a UX designer?
So As I said, I think the easiest way that you can do it is by doing a course. I mean, you have to say take an app concept of making an app or website and do stakeholder interviews, do user interviews. Then you'll make the information. Then you'll collect all of that, and you'll make an analysis out of that, right? And then you'll present it to all the stakeholders. Then you'll make the informational architecture, you'll make the user flows, then you'll make the design system and the high fidelity prototypes.
Okay. Now somebody in the questions tab is asking about best design in trends. Do we need some elaboration in this question? Let me put it here. Can you please elaborate? Okay, so whosoever is asking this question, if you can elaborate more for us so that we can answer it, that would be great.
Does he mean like UX design trends?
Okay, so Miriam has just shared the processes doc, I guess.
Yeah, that's on my website, my process.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it's in more depth as well, so that'd be good for everyone. And also, I have something else that you might like. It's the books I recommend and the resources I recommend. Hold on. I couldn't think off the top of my head. Okay, hold on.
No problem.
Okay, so that has my UX resources and books and that I recommend, and also there's some documentaries and tools that I use as well. Yeah. Oh, and also there's 2 courses as well. So yeah, enjoy.
Great. So I guess now you have all the resources in hand to become a successful UX designer, shared all by Miriam. So yeah, thank you so much, Miriam, for this. I hope all of these people who are attending live and who are listening to all of this, like this AMA live, will be getting benefit out of it. So I think we are okay. Somebody's asking what's your Instagram and Twitter link.
I'll just put that on. That's my Instagram. Then Twitter. Okay, 1 second. It's also on my website at the bottom there. I'll get it for you. No worries. Hold on. I don't tweet so much. But you can follow me there. But I'm also great. I'm also on Medium and LinkedIn. Oh, LinkedIn's a great platform. I really connect with people there. I'll give you that as well. Just like you could just send me a request, I'll take it. Hold on.
So yeah, I think so. You have already shared your Instagram account. So you can. So from Instagram, I think they can sort of reach out to you on LinkedIn and Twitter as well.
Yeah, just send me a request, and you can DM me. I'm more than happy to answer all your questions. Yeah.
Okay, I think so. We have just got one more question here. So this question is, in which way UX helps for SEO? Okay.
Oh, UX really helps us SEO. It is the way that Google is now.
That's a really important thing to know, yeah?
It used to be not important design, and people used to be like, oh no, design doesn't matter. But what's Google in their updates, to Penguin and all those different updates that they have throughout the years, UX design is actually key in it's a key factor in Google ranking you, because when you come to the website, if you click off, you get ranked down. So therefore, if you have an engaging user experience and people stay on your site, you'll rank up. So user experience is key. Also, Google will penalize you if your site isn't mobile friendly. So that's really important that you make sure that you use the right mobile design principles as well.
So UX and SEO are directly related to each other, right?
Pardon?
So UX and SEO are sort of directly related to each other. It is really important for SEO also, right?
I know it's really important. Google's really embraced it. Yeah.
Great. So I think we are just left with some time. If you would like to share, Miriam, if you would like to share some last minute tips to all these UX designer or budding UX designer or somebody who are transitioning from graphic design to UX design, please share your last minute tips and suggestions to them, and then we can wrap it up.
So I would really recommend to practice and share your process. Create an Instagram account, create, a Medium account, LinkedIn, whatever it is, whatever platform you like, and share your work and get the feedback. I know it's scary to share things and you might not always get the feedback that you want, but that's how you'll learn and that's how you'll progress as a designer, to put yourself out there and to ask for that feedback that you need. Just, practice and, research and, just keep going.
Yeah, keep going is very important. Practicing and researching and keep going. That's a great advice for all of the budding UX designer and the UX designers who are already there in the field. So I think we have almost answered all the questions that we had with us while from the registration form and from the live question that people are asking. So thank you so much guys for joining us today for this AMA session. It was great having you with us. I hope you enjoyed it, and you will be receiving a feedback form right after this webinars, this AMA. Let us know how did you guys like it. If there is any suggestion on how can we improve further, that will be great. And thank you so much, Miriam, for joining us for this AMA today and taking out your time to help the community.
No problem. I'm more than happy to share and come speak to you guys. I'm really passionate about UX design and helping other people get into it because it's such a great industry. So feel free to be in touch.
Yeah. So if there is any suggestions from you guys, you can also go to Designhill Instagram page, DM us there, and we can come up with more such AMAs and webinars for you by collaborating with experts like Miriam. We'll have more upcoming webinars as well. So stay tuned with us and you'll see a lot of things that are on the way for you guys. So thank you so much once again for joining us for this AMA. Hope you guys had a good time. And see you there in the next webinar.
Thanks, Rashmi.
Thank you, Miriam. Thank you. Bye-bye. Have a nice time ahead. Bye-bye.